My wife left me for another man. She even took my own family overseas to attend their wedding. She texted me, "Don't be home when we get back. When it's over for me." They all returned and saw what I had done. Their smiles vanished as they looked at each other in fear. My wife left me for another man on a Tuesday. By Friday, she had convinced my parents and my sister to fly overseas with her to attend the wedding. I wasn't invited to my own divorce, but I was expected to vacate the life I built. "Don't be home when we get back," the text read. "When it's over for me. Please don't make this harder than it needs to be, Mark." Harder for who, Sarah? The man she was marrying was an executive consultant. Code for a guy who makes more money than me and wears suits that cost more than my car. My family, the people who raised me, sent me a group photo from the airport lounge. They were all holding champagne flutes. My mother was beaming. "He just makes her so happy, Mark." My sister had told me over the phone. "You have to let go." They didn't just leave me. They erased me. I sat in our empty living room for 3 days. The silence wasn't peaceful. It was deafening. I looked at the walls I'd painted, the hardwood I'd refinished by hand. I didn't cry. That stage ended when I saw the flight itinerary on the kitchen counter. I started working. I didn't pack a single suitcase. I didn't take my clothes or my TV. I went to the hardware store. I went to the bank. I spent 48 hours in a fever dream of calculated destruction. Every time my heart started to race, I just reread that text. "When it's over, it's over." I agreed. The day they were scheduled to land, I sat on the curb 3 houses down, waiting in a rental car with the lights off. The black SUV pulled into the driveway at 11 p.m. Sarah got out first, wearing a white silk dress that screamed "New Beginnings." Then came the executive. He was laughing, tossing a set of keys in his hand. My keys. My parents and sister piled out of the second car, trailing behind them like a royal court. They were all smiling. They were still riding the high of a destination wedding. Sarah stepped up to the front door. She looked beautiful. She looked like a stranger. She slipped a key into the lock. It didn't turn. She frowned, trying again. Then she realized the door wasn't locked. It was slightly ajar. She pushed it open and stepped into the foyer. The rest of them followed, chatter filling the hallway. Then one by one the voices stopped. The silence that followed was the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. I stepped out of my car and walked toward the house, my footsteps heavy on the pavement. I stood in the doorway. The smell hit them first. The metallic chemical scent of industrial-grade epoxy and raw sewage. "Mark?" Sarah's voice was a thin, trembling wire. She was looking at the living room, or what used to be the living room. I hadn't smashed the furniture. I hadn't broken the windows. That would be too simple. I had systematically filled every single drain, pipe, and toilet in the house with quick-setting hydraulic cement. Then I had turned on every faucet. The water had nowhere to go. It had backed up, bringing the contents of the septic tank with it, flooding the pristine hardwood. But that wasn't the shimmer they were seeing on the walls. I had taken every single photograph of our 10 years together. Every wedding photo, every vacation shot, every picture of my family. I had glued them to the walls. Thousands of them. And then I had spray-painted a single black line through every person's face, except mine. My mother gasped, clutching her throat. "Mark, what have you done?" I didn't look at her. I looked at Sarah. Her white silk dress was already stained at the hem from the rising, foul water. "You told me not to be home," I said. My voice was calm, almost bored. "You're insane," the new husband hissed, stepping forward. "I'm calling the police." "Go ahead," I said, holding up a folder. "The house is in my name. It was an inheritance from my grandfather." "Sarah, you signed the quitclaim deed last year for the refinance. Remember?" Her face went pale. "I didn't move out," I whispered. "I decommissioned the asset." I looked at my father, the man who had toasted her new marriage 3 days ago. "The bank is foreclosing on Monday," I told him. "I stopped making payments 6 months ago when I found out about the affair. I took the rest of the equity out in cash. It's gone." I looked at the executive. "You wanted her life? You got it. It's under 6 inches of filth and 400,000 of debt." Sarah started to sob. It wasn't a movie sob. It was a panicked, ugly sound. "Where are we supposed to go?" my sister asked, her voice cracking. I stepped back onto the porch, breathing in the fresh night air. "I don't know," I said, "but when it's over, it's over." I pulled the door shut and jammed a wooden shim into the frame from the outside. As I walked to my rental, I could hear them screaming inside. They weren't screaming at me anymore. They were starting to scream at each other. I started the engine and didn't look back. The looming consequence isn't the lawsuit or the debt. It's the fact that for the first time in 10 years, I felt absolutely nothing. And that's the scariest part of all.